I think that is what it is about within Siemens, to not only have technology for the sake of technology, but doing it for a purpose which might be environmental, social development, but of course also creating value for our customers.
Welcome to a brand new episode of our podcast, Human and AI, Mind, Machines, and the Gradient Descent.
Thanks that you tuned in again to listen and geek out with us over the fascinating field of AI and the role of humans. Today, we're super delighted to welcome Dr. Markus Lade, the General Manager for the Global Water and Wastewater business. Markus is an engaged sales professional and passionate global leader for project consulting and service business in the area of automation and digitalization for the process industries. But I guess that's enough of an introduction, so let's dive directly into it. Markus, welcome to Human and AI, and thanks so much for taking some time today to join our podcast show. How are you, and where do we catch you today?
Yeah, Avery and Uli, thank you very much for the invitation. It's an honor and a pleasure to talk to you. I hope we will have a very nice conversation. I mean, the topic water is very interesting and also a focus topic within Siemens. So I think we will have a very nice discussion here. In fact, I'm still working out of my home office in Erlangen. I haven't seen my real office in Nuremberg in the last 1.5 years for more than 5 times. So Corona and pandemic and shutdown really causes some changes here. But I think we have arranged with new normal, and that also has some advantages, of course.
Yeah. But Markus, you are 2 decades at Siemens. You know, that is what a Siemens family is all about. Super impressive, right? So what's your stake? Why did you join Team Siemens for such a long time? And how did, big corporates can be crazy, right? Any twists, any things that this corporation has shaped you?
Yeah, I mean, indeed, 20 years sounds like a long time. But as you say, the advantage of a corporation like Siemens is that you get a lot of different opportunities and challenges in many different functions, in different organizations, and even different locations. So after I started after I finished my PhD in chemical engineering at the Technical University, I joined Siemens in 2000. And my first job was more related to my training as chemical engineer. I was supporting our chemical process safety department in the industry side of Frankfurt Höchst in the chemical area. And I did this for 7 years. And then I had a complete change in my function, and I moved to business development. I joined the team for the business development in the chemical industry. I did this for roughly 3.5 years. Then I was sent to Singapore on delegation to do our project business there for the whole process industries. We did build large chemical plants, pharma plants, food and beverage, and also at that time already water and wastewater. And after I came back, then I moved here to Erlangen or to Nuremberg, and I'm heading up the water industry business now for almost 7 years. And I think what was driving my personal development was always the strong interest in technologies and research and development. And we were always dealing with global projects, global customers, and of course also the multicultural exchange that is very important. But at the end of the day, it is very, very important. We have always been able to serve our customers to create value for their commercial operations. And I think that is what it is about within Siemens, to not only have technology, doing for the sake of technology, but doing it for a purpose which might be environmental, social development, but of course also creating value for our customers.
Yeah, the purpose aspects, right? They are at the moment, I guess, at the very hype.
It is on a very hype, and I think we addressed this very well in the water industry. Yeah,
Hmm.
you have to see water as the most important resource for life. NASA is sending satellites to Mars to find life, and basically, how are they doing? They are looking for water. Okay, the situation in water is probably in on the Earth is a little bit better. We have a little bit more water, but of course, most of it is seawater, so it's not potable water. That's the first challenge.
Hmm.
And then there are a couple of others which we can also talk about. But at the end of the day, water is very important for the development of societies, for the development of economies, and of course also it has a very, let's say, strong sustainability impact as well.
And Markus, when it comes to water, you are the number one contact, not only within Siemens, but also beyond. You participate in lots of conferences. You are part of many presentations within Siemens and beyond. But where does this passion for working in the field of water actually come from? Can you share a little bit on that?
Yeah, indeed. I mean, water is one of the focus industries within Siemens. And I mean, water is a bit special when you compare it to pharma or chemical automotive. You have these large companies, these large end customers. And we have a very special setup, of course, for those markets and industries as well. But in the water industry, you have a global market. Basically, every city has its water municipality. And this is a very special setup that also we try as Siemens to address in the market. So from the commercial side, it is very special. You have public utilities, you're dealing with public companies, you have public tenders. That's one of the challenges.
Mm.
And then, of course, to really get into the broad market, that is interesting and very challenging. So we try to be really a trusted advisor to our customers on a broad base. We support the industry on in the technological field. We provide standardization, and we are trying to drive technology. And one of the things that is coming up, of course, now, as in many other industries as well, is the whole game changer of digitalization. This will drive innovations, especially in the water industry, for resource efficient operation and maintenance in the future years very much. And of course, it is very interesting and also satisfying to be part of such innovations and the development that is happening. And Siemens, for example, with its MindSphere, but also with our SIVA, Siemens Water digital applications, is a key player in that area. And we think that we have a unique offer to our end customers in the sense of an end-to-end solution. Siemens traditionally is very strong in sensoring,
Mm.
communication, automation technology, and all of those data we now are able to take and put on top additional assessments, additional algorithms to really get information out of the data in the best sense of digitalization.
Yeah, connecting the physical and the virtual world, right? That's somehow obviously some passion of Siemens and of us, right? But if you look then on on the interfaces between the physical worlds and the digitalization, and on the customer side, what do you perceive actually as the greatest challenges that you have in the water industry, Markus?
Yeah, I mean, I can just name a few here. One, of course, are the environmental sustainability challenges. And the water industry is addressing this from two different angles. One is, of course, the water industry is a heavy consumer of energy. We assume from the studies that we see that roughly 4% of the global CO2 footprint goes to the water industry. Of course, it's one of our aims to reduce that CO2 footprint. On the other hand, the water industry, of course, is also affected by the effects or by the consequences of the climate change. So on the one hand side, we have a higher demand for water. On the other hand side, of course, we have droughts and reduced rainfalls on the one hand side. On the other hand side, we have partially stronger heavy rainfalls, which of course also causes problems for the sewage systems or for the rainwater drainage systems.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, also one of the challenges in the water industry is urbanization. So the concentration of people is getting higher and higher, and to serve those people with water and to have a proper wastewater disposal, of course, is really a challenge. Yeah. Then the whole water scarcity, of course, rises the need for additional seawater desalination plants. And of course, with the additional energy consumption that comes with it, we have to see on where we get green energy for those plants and how to increase the operational efficiency of those plants. And one of the things, I mean, that is very obvious, we produce the water, seawater desalination plants. That is usually reverse osmosis by membrane technology, but this is a highly energy intensive process.
Mm-hmm.
Once this water is produced, it has to be pumped, distributed. The pumps are consuming energy, and then the pity is, depending on which region in the world you are, 15 to even 50% of the water is lost by leaking pipelines. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, this is not only a loss of the water resource itself, but also the loss of the energy that is inside of this water. So with this regard, also, of course, the reduction of leakages and pipe bursts is also one of the big challenges in the water industry today.
50%. That's super crazy.
Up to 50%, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not only this aspect, but many others that you just mentioned while describing the greatest challenges all touch upon the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals that were defined by the United Nations. And the sixth SDG is clean water and sanitation. And it addresses very severe challenges that we face in the field of water. And according to the United Nations, worldwide, 1 in 3 people do not have access to safe drinking water. 2 out of 5 people do not have a basic hand washing facility with soap and water, and more than 670 million people still practice open defecation. The effects of climate change, like heavy droughts that you also just mentioned and severe flooding, and an increasing world population, make these statistics even more severe, and we really need to start acting. And how is Siemens positioned to combat water challenges, and how do we create technology with purpose in this regard?
Yeah, I mean, I think these really global big challenges show that, I mean, a company like Siemens or also the water utilities itself, of course, will have problems to fight this in a separate way. I think the future will be in open ecosystems where people, ideas, also technology is brought together and fight these challenges in a combined way. I have mentioned some of these challenges, and of course we have some solutions for those. Very obviously in the area of automation, digitalization, electrification. So we provide transparency. We make water management more transparency and more efficiency in order to save resources, to make resources more available, and to make better use of the available resources. Of course, one of the things that also comes into play is we contribute to increase the quality and also sustainability of the water resources, which is, I think, a key that is addressed here by the UN goals, and coming together of technology, resources, utilities. I think that will be the key challenge for cities and countries to combat those challenges and achieve their individual sustainability goals. Yeah. at the end of the day, it's the combination of a lot of factors. What we see, and this is in the moment for me the most severe challenge, technology is available, the need is defined, but there is still a gap between applying this technology to solve the problems and the advancement of this technology. So technology is available, but we have to start using it. We have to start come together, utilize those technologies for a better world.
Now let's talk about one of the key technologies we see, at least, right, about AI, artificial intelligence, right? If I don't know, are you following a bit of the progress, outside maybe also the company, that some kind of breakthroughs that you could, or got you impressed, or you say like, oh, that's pretty dope. Is there anything that you follow up outside in the world?
Yeah, the funny thing is, I mean, I'm not really an expert in artificial intelligence. Yeah, so it's probably a bit weird in this AI podcast. Yeah, but I mean, my personal opinion is that artificial intelligence, of course, will play a very important role in the future. I think the applications of artificial intelligence are by far not really defined. There are a lot of ideas are coming up, but the thing is, what we see is in the consumer world, but I think also in the industrial world, artificial intelligence together with digitalization will really be a key game changer. Yeah, and I mean, when we look into the achievements that are already there in the consumer world, when you see the algorithms that Google or, for example, Amazon use, or in the logistics environment.
Mm-hmm.
My personal belief is that in the industrial area, there is still a lot of room for improvement and for applications of artificial intelligence. And especially also in the water industry, where you have very distributed systems. You collect data basically from everywhere in a city. There's such a huge data pool available that can be basically assessed by both. I mean, model-based solutions as well as artificial intelligence. That there is a huge potential. And at the end of the day, I would personally believe that at the end of the day, we will have hybrid systems between model-based solutions combined with artificial intelligence. Both technologies have their strengths, and in the combination, I think that will be very strong. And I think very good examples here are systems for leak detection, where we really assess a big number of data and see where is the water going and where are deviations from what we expect, both from hydrodynamic modeling as well as from artificial intelligence. You have basically consumption patterns during nighttime, during daytime, and if you see deviations, you can easily see, and this goes up to comparably little amounts of water, of leakages. Yeah, you can detect those leakages. In some cases, you can also make a kind of location forecasting or location pinning on where to look for these leakages. Another very obvious example is demand forecasting. I mean, it is in every industry, in every consumption, it is very important to know what is the water demand from industry, but then also from the households. And this depends on weather forecasts. This depends on the time of the day. This differs from weekday to weekend. Probably now during the soccer European Championships, there are peak seasons which you can also forecast. And with this regard, I think there are a lot of applications that can be applied for artificial intelligence technologies.
Yeah, that seems to be that, AI machine learning methodology, even so model-based approaches, right, are super valid, but already applied actually in the water vertical, right?
Yeah, we already do a couple of things. One of the really good achievements we have recently done with a customer in Sweden, VA Süd, they are applying our leak detection software, and this is going down to a precision or up to a precision of half a liter per second. So that is quite already a quite low number, yeah. And they are reducing what we call the non-revenue water, basically the leakages, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They can reduce it up to 10%, which is already a great achievement. And I mean, in Europe, of course, the leakage rates are not that big, but still, of course, the water is not that cheap also in Europe. And the other thing that you have to see, and this is often forgotten, you have the challenge of secondary damages. If you have a highly condensed city with a lot of buildings and infrastructure, of course, these leakages can create caves in the ground, yeah, and then the stability of buildings or streets or bridges and so on can be affected. And this is why the cities try to avoid these leakages as good as they can. And our technology here, and we have this a very nice example, can support to detect these leakages, and then of course to go for a repair.
Yeah, awesome. That's pretty dope. I remember also last year we had a joint hackathon actually with a partner of you, Grundfos, on the sustainability challenge for water, and it was so easy to get folks and geeks participating on that on these challenges because they used then in the end a bit of a federated learning and identifying bacteria in water. So super nice, and seems to be especially the younger folks, right? Are super happy to tackle these challenges and apply then latest greatest technology. But one of the aspects is obviously then data, right? And I guess if you talk then to the geeks, to the data science guys, and it's like, hey, what kind of data do we have actually? What kind of data assets can be leveraged? And you picked it already a bit prior up and said like, hey, there's explosion actually of data. There are SCADA systems, maybe even weather reports, right, or social media, maybe, right? Can you elaborate a bit on what can one geeky or a data scientist expect? What kind of typical data do we have in the water business?
Yeah, I mean, to answer this question, I think I need an extension of 1 hour, and
That's a
then
good one.
to elaborate on the challenges that arise from the answer another 5 hours. Yeah,
All
but
right,
I will try to summarize this a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, in the water industry, the data sources are much more broad than in any other industry, probably. If you compare this to a car company, automotive industry, or to a chemical company, I mean, they have their plants, and all these data are, or most of the data are basically inside of them, and it is probably an area of 200 times 200 meter. When you look into the water industry, you first of all have much more data. It's much more distributed in the landscape. Such a utility is probably serving 200 times 200 kilometers. So you have to bring the data into a central data storage, and then you have much more data. And at the end of the day, very obviously, I mean, you get an invoice for your water consumption. So the water meter reading, all of those data is much more than probably in any other industry. Then the problem is all of those data are, of course, in their own data silos. A SCADA system, which is for operation of the actual plant and the distribution of the water, does not usually have a connection, for example, to the invoicing system.
Mm.
And then it even gets more complex for the whole infrastructure topic when you look into the asset data. Yeah, of course, that's a huge amount of data. Where are your pipes going? Where are the valves? Where are the pumps? Yeah,
Mm.
but all of this has an interaction, of course, with the power utility or with the traffic management. Yeah,
Mm.
and to bring all of those data together is really a big challenge. And what we are trying to do, and this is, I think, also, you probably know this Gaia X discussion, data
Clear.
governance, to bring all of those data together. Which data are trustworthy? Which data can be made available to others? Yeah, this is one of the discussion. The
Mm-hmm.
other thing is we are also looking into the whole topic of ontologies, knowledge graphs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you store a data point and it says 42, yeah, it's totally unclear. Is this a temperature? If it's a temperature, if it's an inside temperature or a cooling temperature or a
Mm-hmm.
heating temperature, and so on and so on. So the meaning of data, the ontology of data, is the basic feature, and then using knowledge graph technology to bring meaning of data from different data silos together, from different domains together, and then create really intelligent out of those data. And you are probably aware of Google using this technology, or even Amazon using this technology. Yeah, if you're interested in this book, others have been interested in other books. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and to bring these technologies into the water industry, in the infrastructure, smart city environment. This is one of the topics we are thinking about, and trying to go a good step forward here. Yeah, so there are a lot of data, but there are also a lot of challenges on data, of course.
All right. That means also the hype on semantic AI, what is called, right? Using a semantic representation such as
Absolutely.
ontology and knowledge graphs actually hit the water business. That's great to hear. I guess for the geeks out there, right? We say like, oh, nice. We have some kind of representations and descriptions of where the data arises. Awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, we're trying to work. Uh, as I mentioned already, I think that working in ecosystems is a big part of it, to define those things. Yeah.
Markus, you just touched upon it because you demonstrated very vividly how great the challenges, especially with regards to the data, are, and at the same time, solving challenges in the field of water is so pervasive. It can help so many people in the world. So, might it be of advantage to join forces with other players in other markets, with the government, to find joint solutions? And how is your department actually dealing with this open innovation aspect, with cross collaboration? Do you have some examples, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, this is a very good question. Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of key players in the area here. One of the aspects is, of course, it's probably not such a competitive market on the operator side. Yeah, as you would probably have in chemical or pharma industry. So there is a strong collaboration already on the operator side, with a lot of collaboration working groups, and also we, as a supplier of technology, we try to participate there, and we try to work with those associations. German Water Partnership is one very good example, yeah, where really we discuss about the technology of the future. But then, of course, there are other key players. For example, you might have seen the project that we have done with the Technical University of Berlin on the digital twin of a pumping station. And this is something that also attracts our end customers, but then also academia, where we try to work together. Of course, we also work with other corporations. You mentioned our collaboration that we have done with Grundfos, but also on the supplier side of technology. You might have seen that we work with a company called Bund Planet, They also bring in their artificial intelligence know-how and products for example, for leak detection, which is of course something that is also interesting for us. Not necessarily we need to build all our technology and all our know-how ourselves. This of course has a cost implication, but then also time to market plays a role. And if there are existing solutions that are attractive, of course we are trying to collaborate. And one of the things, and you have already mentioned this, we are of course also participating in hackathons, for example, together with the AI lab and with our corporate technology, the university relationship department. We are going for a sustainability challenge now, where we soon will invite different third parties to work on a specific topic in the water industry. And the other thing is, I mean, you are probably aware that with a little bit of delay through the pandemic, the expo in Dubai is starting now, I think in end of October and November. And one of the technology focus weeks they have, this will only happen then in March, is for the water industry. And Siemens is also planning to do a hackathon for this water challenge, for this water focus week. And of course we will then only also hopefully have a very interesting topic and challenge to work on. So there is a huge number of collaborations and the ecosystem that we work together with. And I think in such a complex world, and also I must say rapidly changing environment, I think that's a very good opportunity also for large players like Siemens to really be in the front of the development.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing. And you're absolutely right. There was a great spectrum of different players that you're collaborating with. Maybe we can have a little deep dive to the Tech for Sustainability campaign that you also touched upon. It's starting end of July, and you and your team are part of. You've been the early pioneers. What was your motivation to become part of this campaign, and what is the challenge that you are contributing to this Tech for Sustainability challenge? And are there any hopes and aspirations for the outcome?
Yeah, first of all, I mean, it sounds probably a little bit silly, but one of the motivations is I haven't done it before. I'm really curious to see on how the format works, on the collaboration. Of course, inside of Siemens is always very important also to increase the network, to get in contact with new colleagues internally, which has already happened in the preparation. And I mean, we have very professional teams working on those topics, where definitely we are not an expert, and it's very good to see on what's going on there. The other thing, of course, is we want to increase our ecosystem. We are basically opening up our ideas for third parties that probably would, for them, it would be probably difficult to then otherwise get really in touch with Siemens, such a comparably large player. Yeah. So we are inviting researchers, we are inviting postdocs, we are inviting even students, teams of students. We are inviting startup companies to really join this challenge. It has a comparably, let's say, narrow scope. Yeah, it is focusing on some specific aspects, which still will shape the future of the technology and are an important aspect for the, let's say, big larger picture that we have in our Siemens Water portfolio. And with this regard, I'm really optimistic to see what's happening there, and then also to see the outcome. And it will probably also happen that we will be able to combine technologies and bring teams together to work then together on this challenge. And of course, the hope is that for this specific, let's say, challenge or problem that we have, that we will find a solution or at least an idea on how to go on there. And I mean, these whole digitalization topics are quite complex. Yeah, I mean, you're not just going and have a quick solution. It comprises of a lot of different aspects, a lot of different details that have to be solved in order to make it happen in total. And for this one, it is one important step that we see where such a hackathon and collaboration of teams might be a very good opportunity to find solutions.
Yeah, awesome. Geeks out there, right? I hope we can, distribute the podcast prior to Sustainability Hackathon. But if you hear it right away, we potentially, paste the links, how to participate, how to make an impact with machine learning on the water business, on the sustainability campaign directly available to you. Pretty awesome. Dope to see what comes out. And also, I'm dope to see where's the market going. Maybe in short, a couple, one or two sentences, Markus. How do you see the next years in the water market? Right? What are somehow the trends you see, and how do we stay relevant and competitive in the market, or at least relevant? Any direction you see where we're going?
I mean, the global market, the global water market, is mainly dominated by population growth. So we see a lot of population growth and basically concentration of people in smart or in larger cities, hopefully future smart cities. And unfortunately, this not always happens in areas where there is enough water available, be it groundwater or surface water. But when you see the areas of the world that are growing, for example, in the Gulf region, but also Singapore, for example, or California, these are typically areas where you can read in the daily press the problems they have with water. This is especially the production of fresh water. So what we see there is really the need to produce potable water. And this is mainly reverse osmosis. In Singapore, we have also contributed in the reuse of sewage, of treated sewage to produce drinking water out of this. Then it's the irrigation. This is a problem also, of course, in the Gulf region, but then also in California, to have enough water for irrigation, for parks, but then also, of course, for the agriculture. This is one of the things. The other thing is sanitation. Increasing middle classes, increasing wealth of the population, of course, rises the demand also for cleaning of sewage and have, let's say, a safe environment and not let's say, dirty rivers and so on and so on. So also there in the sewage treatment, we see a strong development. And then we see one of the big developments. We see the trend to smart cities, which is not only water, but it's also water. This is probably something that people forget. Yeah, when you think about smart cities, you probably think about traffic management. You probably think about smart grid. But water is also a very important task here. I mentioned leak detection, but then also water management. I think these are the big trends. And I mean, we have been active in the water industry as Siemens for the last 30 years. We are very well positioned in many markets on desalination, on water distribution, treatment, sewage treatment. And I think we are positioning ourselves very well now on the digitalization market, both with our, let's say, broader portfolio elements like MindSphere and Mendix, for example, but then also for the water specific ones, leak detection, the ones that I mentioned, this our SIVA portfolio. So with this regard, I'm quite optimistic that we will also stay the key player in the market in the future.
So many challenges still ahead, but it won't get boring. That's the most important thing. And we as Siemens, we're always on track That's good to hear. And Markus, we are already at the very last question. This is a rather personal one because you've been for so many years at the company. You've pushed many bold initiatives, and now we want to know what were the key lessons, maybe 2 or 3 that you would like to share here with the audience. How can we make a difference in large corporations?
Yeah, I mean that's a philosophical question. Yeah, I think it's in many instances is quite simple. I think the most important thing, and that's not only for large corporations, small corporations, even in private life, talk to each other. Yeah, exchange your ideas, exchange your experiences, and what are the goals that you want to reach. And also my personal experience is you can make a difference. Yeah, it's not you do not need to hide between a large organization. If you have a good idea, you will always find people that will work on that topic, and you will also find management attention that can really change it. Yeah, so everybody can make a difference. I mean, also in Siemens, of course, we have a lot of methods to support this. But it's not about large corporations. It's about the people that drive it. If you have a company of 20 people or 20,000 or Siemens 200,000, at the end of the day, each of them counts, and each of them can really make a difference. Yeah.
Beautiful. Markus, thanks so much for being the guest on our podcast. It has been absolutely awesome, super inspiring, and I'm sure we could talk to you for more and more hours. Maybe we'll get back to you for that. But before we finish this episode, we want to play my favorite game. It's Authentic Autocomplete. So I will give you for the closing a couple of sentence starters, and you will finish. Markus, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Awesome. So Siemens is
a great company. If you want to change the world, join Siemens.
Ooh.
Wow.
Well, that was the most boldest thing I've heard until there.
Yeah, that goes to all the talents out there. So second, water is
the most important resource for life. And as I mentioned, I mean, Siemens is one of the key players in the industry, and we are really hoping to serve society to make it a better world, at least for this aspect of water.
I agree. Technology with purpose is
one of the big goals of Siemens, and especially also addresses the needs in the water industry. We are happy to be able to contribute here. Development of society, development of economies, but then also, of course, especially for sustainable development.
Well put. The COVID pandemic has taught me
that we are, as humans, still weak, and we will have to focus on resilience and a robust setup, not only on technology, but then also, of course, on societies. And I think we will also have to see the lessons learned from the pandemic and try to also further develop our activities in sustainability, CO2 reduction, and so on and so on.
Yeah, I agree. And the last one, it's quite a difficult one, but you will do a great job. If I could invent a rule for everyone in the world to follow, it would be?
I think that's a very easy answer. Don't make rules for everyone in the world.
I love it. Marco, thanks so much. Right, we've learned a lot actually in this episode. We've learned about the aspects of the emergence of semantic AI and the role of model-based technology for Siemens water businesses, but also the amount of data actually being there, the need for actually to move, and also great to see that you accessing and letting others access actually these challenges to make an impact with the sustainability campaign and all the others initiatives. So great hearing. Thanks so much for your time here.
Yeah, and also thank you very much from my side, Abri and Uli. I mean, it was really a pleasure, and I really appreciate the questions, and I think it was a very good discussion here. Of course, I like the opportunity to present our water topic, and I hope, I mean, it was also interesting for your listeners. Thank you very much.
Yeah, folks out there, stay bold, committed, and open-minded, and we hear us at the next Siemens AI Lab podcast. Cheers.